Think about it. At some point this year, the market cap of Bitcoin hit $1 trillion. That shows legitimacy. It's still volatile, though nothing has changed. But what I think is shifting is the larger the market cap of Bitcoin will be, the swings over the next few years will become smaller. Here are the 4 things that you need to consider in Bitcoin. That was an article that I wrote for Rappler more than 7 years ago. And this is what we're gonna do. I want us to go through that particular article to see, has my view changed for that particular point in terms of Bitcoin, or is it still the same? And is there something also that has changed for Bitcoin over the past 7 years? And it just goes to show also that kung meron man nagbago in terms of how I see Bitcoin, life and investing is a continuous learning process. What I know now is massively different from what I knew back then. And that's why it's so important for all of us, not just to invest, but to invest in ourselves and invest in learning, because the more we know, the better we become, the more we learn, the more we could also earn. And that being said, also, for those who don't know this, I used to write a lot of columns before, not just for Rappler, but also for Business Mirror, for Money Sense Magazine. Then I would do a lot of those TV interviews. Here's one with Anthony Taberna, if you can see it right here. Sinabi pa niya dun sa interview, isang batang-bata na lalaki. So,
isang batang-batang Pinoy ang gumagawa ngayon ng sarili niyang pangalan sa larangan ng stock market at investment na karaniwan ay playground lamang para sa mga top bankers at top investors. Si Marvin Hermo, isang financial advisor at planner.
So I think I was in my mid-20s at that time. Then I would do some interviews for GMA7, Saksi, etc. I don't know. I just fell in love with doing my own thing, my own videos, that I love doing this on a daily basis. But for those who are subscribing just now, I used to do a lot of those things, TV, radio, and print. Let's go through this article line by line, and let's see how my context and my perception in terms of Bitcoin has changed. Please remember this, this was written 2014, January 2014. I encountered Bitcoin 2013. At this point in time, I'm not yet investing in Bitcoin. At this point in time, kaka-start ko lang mag-invest halos sa US stock market. I think I've been investing in the equity markets for around 7 years. The title, Investing in Bitcoins, 4 things to consider. It would not be prudent to invest in Bitcoins just because they are the talk of the town right now. Here are things to consider. Even right now, 2021, I'm telling you that no matter if it's a talk of the town, no matter if it's popular or not, do not invest in it just because everyone is talking about it. So check there. Check for Marvin. Joke lang. Some people call it the future of transacting and doing business, while others call it a bubble that will crash sooner or later. One thing is certain, Bitcoin is now available in the country and is now at the disposal of Filipinos who want to transact and use it as a form of exchange. There's a lot of things here that I want to unpack. Number one, it shows that at this point in time, I knew nothing about Bitcoin yet. If I knew a lot about Bitcoin, I would have known that there were several crashes already for Bitcoin that had happened even prior to the time that I was writing this. When people call asset classes bubbles, it's normally when the price is massively further than what its value is. So at that time, if I remember it properly, I really had this notion that Bitcoin didn't have a lot of value at all, that whatever price it had, it was already overvalued. So yung nagbago 2021 is, I believe that Bitcoin right now, if you move forward 10, 20 years in the future, I think it's undervalued from where it is right now for where it could possibly be, given the context that if it overtakes the market cap of gold, then we're actually seeing Bitcoin right now to be something that's undervalued. At this time, there were exchanges already coming into the Philippines. I don't know what specifically this was. I'm not sure if this was for coins.ph when they were building their wallets here already, or if it was for something else. In a nutshell, Bitcoin is a virtual currency that can be used to purchase real goods or services. It also makes paying easier and accessible via mobile app that comes with lower cost per transaction computed to banks, PayPal or Visa, etc. I think right now, the cost for transacting via Bitcoin is a bit expensive. And the fact that if you're swapping your money from peso to Bitcoin, there's a lot of costs attached to it already. And to bring it back to peso, should you make a transaction in peso, there's a lot of cost. So I'm not too sure if it's cheap in that aspect. And if you've noticed it also, if you're transferring it from wallet to wallet, it's a bit high. That's why BNB is so cheap. The gas fees for BNB is amazing. But I'm digressing from the topic. I want to mention this also, that in the article, I noted that it's a virtual currency, which is holds true right now naman, that you can swap it. It's a medium of exchange. But at that point alone, I was merely thinking about Bitcoin as something that would swap for the dollar. But it's not there. But anyways, let's continue. In other countries, it has been regarded as a form of investment traded via formal exchange, which up until now is also happening naman. You can still trade Bitcoins via formal exchange. And right now, across the world, it's being treated as an asset class where investors attempt to make money by buying the conversion low and selling it higher later. This is where we have seen early investors become instant millionaires. Maybe not even millionaires anymore at this particular price. They might be billionaires already by buying early and selling once demand would kick in, which brought prices higher. One Bitcoin has drastically jumped from merely being worth pennies in April 2011 to 966 US dollars per Bitcoin as of January 2014. Bitcoin uses the same supply and demand principles that are present in the Forex market. However, given the limited supply, only 21 million Bitcoins are created. So far, around 11 million have been mined. The demand for Bitcoin may further increase in the future. Whoa! 11 million. Right now, I think we're at 18 million. So for the past 7 years, there's an additional 7 million Bitcoins that have been mined already. And which holds true, no? What makes Bitcoin so interesting versus the Forex market is that there's unlimited supply of US dollars versus Bitcoin. The rarer it becomes, the more valuable it is. Let's look at the chart right here. And if you notice it also, you can find parallelisms of this chart into other chart patterns of Bitcoin. And a lot of people have used previous chart patterns of Bitcoin on how they could possibly predict also future movements of it. 7 years after this column has been posted, Bitcoin has still been pushing up. It still currently is volatile still in nature. As I always tell my clients, an investor should make decisions based on research, logic, and conviction that where they're putting their money is something worthwhile. While each investment is a personal decision, one must factor in risk tolerance, investment horizon, and the money that they're willing to set aside for this investment. If you notice the word there, conviction, 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 because at the end of the day, that's what matters the most. How convinced you are that what you're getting into is something that you know based on who you are as an investor. And the fact that when you get into something, it should be well researched. It should be something that you should know so well, because you will lose money if you're getting into something that you don't know. Okay, point number 1, volatility. The exchange rate of Bitcoin has gone up in the past by large percentages and also gone down significantly. That's also happening right now. We are in the midst of massive volatility for Bitcoin. The chart below shows that exchange of Bitcoin against the dollar went up October 23 from 100 Bitcoin to 1,200 USD per Bitcoin sometime December 2013. That's a 1,100% increase in just a matter of 3 months, which is also happening today. Some altcoins have better performance than that. Comment below if you guys had ADA. Comment below if you guys had BNB. Comment below if you had Shiba, Doge, and so much more. To put it into perspective in terms of gains, our local stock market went up 33% from January 2012 to December 2012. And that was considered a very strong market in investing. When it's too good to be true, maybe it is. So even now, I'm scratching my head on some of the movements in the cryptocurrency market. The gains have been insane. A lot of us are in it also just because it's game changing and it's the technology. But we can't also disregard that the gains beat traditional stock market investments, that the gains head to head, if you compare, you look at Tesla, in my opinion, last year was so amazing. Tesla so amazing. And right now, even while we're filming this video, one of my favorite US stocks is still relatively in the higher end of its range. I'm talking about Facebook, but none of them pales in comparison to the cryptocurrency market. Here's one thing that I want to note about this. This has been 7 years long. And at that time, 2014, a lot of people were skeptical about Bitcoin, that it was a scam. However, if you follow it through, it's been out already for over a decade. What does that mean? It talks about its staying power. it talks about it as an asset class that, think about it, at some point this year, the market cap of Bitcoin hit $1 trillion US. That shows legitimacy. It's even massively bigger than other companies already. That already speaks volumes on what it is and what it has, and that it's pushing towards, in my opinion, really as a store of value. They say what goes up must go down. 14 days after its peak, the exchange of Bitcoin dropped from a high of 1,200 to a low of 550 per Bitcoin. Talk about wild swings. That's very, very correct. That's a 55% loss in just a few days of trading. It's strong upward and downward swings in investments are not for you. It's best to stay away from investments as volatile as this. It's still volatile, though nothing has changed. But what I think is shifting is the larger the market cap of Bitcoin will be, the swings over the next few years will become smaller. It doesn't change the fact still that it's something that's very, very, very volatile, especially if you are comparing it to the Philippine stock market and you are comparing it to the US stock market as well. The swings in the cryptocurrency market and even Bitcoin right now are still massive. Anyways, value. No one knows what the fundamental value of Bitcoin is, unlike stocks, which you can attempt to value by computing the estimated earnings and growth. For Bitcoin, it's pure supply and demand. The difference? Bitcoin is a virtual currency that does not have the backing of any hard assets. How do you value something that does not exist? The value merely is based on what buyers believe the price should be and what sellers also believe what they could sell it for. It's purely a supply and demand play, which at this point does not have any long-term value to make it sustainable. Warren Buffett said, price is what you pay for, value is what you get. If you do not get value in return, price will definitely die down. We've seen it drop over and over and over and over and over. We've seen it crash over and over and over and over and over. But the fact that it keeps rebounding, but the fact that it keeps going up, but the fact that even when it crashed over 80+% in the past years and it has still gone up, speaks volumes already that maybe it's valued a different way from how we would value stocks. I was comparing Bitcoin with stocks, which totoo naman, when you enter the stock market, you have dividends, you have future growth, you have debt to earnings ratios, you have certain parameters in order to value companies. But from what I know right now, May 2021, is you parallel Bitcoin with gold. Bitcoin is digital gold. Whatever gold has, Bitcoin has, but it's massively better as a storer of value. I was looking at it from a stock market guy point of view, but the deeper dives that I have for Bitcoin right now is something that's telling you right now that every time you analyze Bitcoin and you look at its value, you don't compare it to stocks. You compare it to other instruments that are storers of value. And I've said this in other videos: watches, paintings, precious metals, particularly gold. Number 3, regulation. Unlike all currencies in the world, Bitcoin is not regulated by any central bank or government. It's rather an open source system that works outside government intervention. It may have its upside, but having lower transaction costs because no one regulates it. However, I believe having no formalized structure will hurt it more than help it over the long term. China and India have made moves to block or dampen the use of Bitcoin in their respective countries. If other countries follow suit, the use of Bitcoin will become sparse and we may see a massive sell down and decline in price. Okay, couple of things here. Number 1, this was 2014. Guys, India has banned cryptocurrencies. China is still over and over, year upon year, ban sila ng ban ng Bitcoin. So here's what's interesting. Yung drop ng Bitcoin ngayon, and people are so shocked that China is doing that. They've been doing that over and 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 over. It should not be a shock to you that China is trying to ban Bitcoin because they have been doing that since 2014. However, I think there's an error at what I said here, that the more governments crack down on it, the more sparse or the lesser the use of Bitcoin. And that's what we've seen in terms of what I said about staying power. Check it out, guys. 7 years after this article, so many bans from different countries for Bitcoin. But the user base, the wallets, the transactions, the miners are massively more right now in 2021. I guess if there's one thing that I want to show you is that there were so many red flags in 2014 from my uneducated mind. There were so many things that made me skeptical in 2014 from me lacking the knowledge on it. But the fact that Bitcoin is still here speaks volumes of what its staying power is and how strong it could possibly be. Number 4, security. Last November 13, 2013, hackers stole over 1,295 bitcoins. Whoa, that's a lot of money today, worth over millions of dollars from Denmark-based Bitcoin exchange. Security has been one of the key concerns surrounding Bitcoin over the years. The thing with Bitcoin is once it's taken, it cannot be traced and it's gone forever. For an investor, one of the biggest considerations is whether you trust the platform you put your money into or not. It's your hard-earned money. You don't want to see it here today and gone tomorrow. These are possible risks that investors will take upon investing in Bitcoins. As investors, it's our responsibility to see the risk, manage them, and ultimately see if the investment is something that fits our risk appetite. My desire is to see more Filipinos financially free and invest knowing what they are getting into. That's why it's very, very important that if you are putting your money in your own wallet to protect your private keys, that you're not supposed to share it. Even exchanges in 2021, they still get hacked. And I guess one way to combat that is to spread your money into different exchanges, to spread your money to different wallets. And if you don't plan to trade it anymore, it would be prudent also to keep it in a wallet where you own your private keys. So I think in this regard, though, this is something that needs still to be addressed, but there will be hackers everywhere. There is no exchange that's totally unhackable because everything also right now, even in 2021, could be hacked. And that's why it's so important that you go to the exchanges that you believe in. You go to the exchanges that you know are protected. You go into the exchanges that are larger because they have, in my opinion, larger security budgets. And by the way, for those who want to know more about that, check out Binance below. They're the largest crypto exchange in the world. And if you want to try them, check them out. I use them. And so far, I'm having a good time trading and investing with them as well, which is so true. No, every time you enter in a platform, you really have to trust it because even up until now, when you lose your money in the cryptocurrency space, you can't get it forever. So when you lose it, since it's decentralized also and it's your error, it cannot return back to you anymore. Unlike when you do it via a bank, you enter the wrong account number and that account number does not exist. There's a big chance that you can still get your money. What do you guys think? Out of the 4 things that I've mentioned, there are certain things that I think I've learned also in this 7-year journey of learning and relearning that has caused me also to change my conviction to Bitcoin. And what's interesting about that, I've been quoting this article over and over because after this, it took me up until 2018 to actually start to invest. And if you are watching this and you've been watching my videos for quite some time and then you still can't find it that you want to invest in Bitcoin, that's okay. You always have to go with what your conviction is. You always have to go with what you understand. And no matter how much you read on this and you watch videos of me on YouTube talking about it, but it does not make sense to you, then don't go for it. Always go for what you understand. So there, I hope you guys got a lot from this. Icon 2021 is happening this Friday and Saturday, largest conference in the country. Link is in the description below. Second, technical analysis sessions about candlesticks, moving averages, support and resistance, trend lines happening this July. If for those who want to trade the crypto markets using technical analysis, link is in the description below as well. And for those who want to grab a copy of my books, I have it in Shopee. 5 books about the fundamentals, the technicals, and the basics of the stock market. I hope that this was a good light video for all of us, revisiting the things that I knew before and what has also changed. And I hope that while you are also watching this, this is something that gave you insight as well. And no matter where we are in terms of our finances, no matter where we are in terms of how much we know in investing, we just keep on learning because at the end of the day, no one knows everything. No one is that perfect and that good in their knowledge of finances, especially for crypto. It's something that's ever evolving. It's something that's so new. It's something that's ever changing. It's something that's evolving into something that's even bigger, better, stronger. To also be a step ahead, you just need to keep on learning. And if there's one thing that I keep urging you and pushing you to do in this channel is that you take the time to learn, you take the time to grow. And my opinion for this, at least from what I know right now, and I could still be wrong, in May 2021, I'm stacking more Bitcoin because I really believe it's digital gold. I really believe that other cryptos like Ethereum, BNB, Cardano, VET, Chainlink, PancakeSwap are amazing. And there are so much more other cryptos that have amazing utilities as well. So that's it for now. This is Marvin Germo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon and God bless you all.